the ninth, which would allow a rebalancing philosophically of the ninth. We can only wish. Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
I think my question's for Mr. Dillon. When you talked earlier about the lending of firearms, you indicated that it was going to be okay, provided that the lender was the registered owner of that gun. And I'm unaware of a current registration scheme to which my pistols would belong to. So could you please clarify that?
Yeah, no problem. So under the new laws with loaning guns, if you're going to loan a handgun, meaning pistol or revolver, it has to be that handgun has to be registered to your name or to the loaner's name. In California, if you have, a lot of people have pistols that are legally not registered to their names because they inherited them or got them before it was required to get any sort of registration for a transfer in that sense. There are ways to register a gun in your name. It's the Firearms Ownership Reporting System. Basically, you can go on DOJ website and download their form, fill it out. You give your make, model, caliber, serial number of your firearm, your name, address, your information. You submit that. I think it's a $19 fee, and that will then register that handgun to your name.
The declaration of ownership, right?
Yes.
But that's the only way that law enforcement would have of it ascertaining whether that firearm was yours without doing a further check, right?
Yeah, unless you retained a receipt that detailed the serial number. Yeah, that's really the only way.
And there's no way of that, of them checking that information in the field, is there?
If it's not registered?
Whether it is or not.
No, there's
No,
APHIS. They have APHIS.
Yeah, they have APHIS, and they can actually look up what is registered to you in California.
Okay, thank you.
So,
Okay.
so that, just to recap, so let's say you have a shotgun that's 20 years old and you let somebody borrow it, and that person, how do you prove? How do you prove that that's your shotgun? Because there really is no registration. Is that kind of what you're saying? I think that's a great question. A lot of that's probably going to rely on the situation. What's going on? Did this person commit a crime with a shotgun and then point the finger at you and say, hey, this person let you borrow it?
Yeah.
I think.
And for clarification, Michael, APHIS is only going to have long guns from 2014 forward. It won't have any long guns prior to 2014, and then handguns would be from, when did that go, 2000-ish?
We have 7 minutes left, so we have to be really short on our questions, really short on our answers. Let's go over here, sir.
Thanks, gentlemen. This is for Mr. Dillon. Getting back to the lower, 80% lowers. If you, as a hobbyist, were to build the AR platform long gun and you made it featureless, how does the law look at that?
Is that another hour?
No, I can answer this fairly quickly,
If
I
so,
believe.
we could do this.
So if you are making your own 80% lower, the lower receiver of the AR platform is considered a firearm when it's built. So if you make that, mill that out, and then assemble a featureless rifle, at no point does it enter into the definition of assault weapon. You will have to start complying, I believe beginning 2018, with the DOJ issued serial number requirements. This is a whole nother issue of if you've made your own gun, it has to have DOJ issued serial numbers and identification marks on it. So you will have to comply in that sense, but there is no prohibition on making a featureless rifle on your own.
And what in regards to old firearms, antique firearms, how back do they have to be before they're considered not a modern weapon?
So with regard to 80%
No,
or
no,
serialization?
I'm talking about
Yeah,
antique
okay.
firearms.
I believe it's 1898. You have to be able to show that the firearm was manufactured prior to 1899, so 1898 or before then, for it to be considered an antique firearm. Under California law, though, if someone like John were to sell even an antique firearm, it still requires to go through a background check in that sense, or argue that it could. Be careful when you're buying guns that are considered antiques because it's really hard to tell the exact date they were manufactured.
Thank you.
Go ahead, sir.
Okay, I have a couple quick ones. First, with transport of firearms, you specified that it had to be in a sealed case or a locked case. What about a lock through the magazine or anything like that, like the normal locks they sell with when you purchase a gun? Is that acceptable, or does it have to actually be in a case?
Well, it depends on what you're carrying. So long gun versus handgun versus assault weapon. Long guns, it's best to have them in a case. So you actually need to have them in a case. It doesn't need to be locked. Handguns,
Like an AR, you can put a bolt lock through the magazine. Of course, with the new laws, you may not be able to do that anymore.
So
but, yeah.
certain locks can make a gun inoperable and then therefore safe in that sense. But I would do not rely on just a lock on your gun. Put them in a case.
Okay, second real quick one. As far as passing on, once you registered a weapon as an assault rifle, I remember reading something, I don't know if it was just bogus or not, about you cannot pass it on to air once you registered as an assault weapon.
That's correct.
So it goes with you.
They better get a big coffin for all your
Yeah,
guns.
big coffin.
Okay.
The other system is you can voluntarily deregister as an assault weapon if you take away the offending features and you submit that paperwork and they take it off the assault weapon registry. Once you do that, it'll then allow you to be able to pass it on or sell it in that sense, but you have to do the paperwork to deregister it.
So I'd have to know I'm taking the bucket, so I'd make sure I reconfigured everything ahead of time, right?
Yes, plan ahead.
Okay, thank you.
All right, over here real quick.
Yes, I'm looking for some wiggle room. I'm the clinic director for Women on Target at Lemon Grove Rod and Gun Club. We receive every year since 2006 a grant for our Women on Target program. We don't take any cash. What we get is from the NRA Foundation giving us ammunition to use at that clinic. We don't buy it, we get something granted to us. Do we have any wiggle room? And
That's-
we're talking
that's a
about the
tough one.
whole state of California with Women on Target programs throughout the whole state.
Who has to register that? The person who purchases it or turns
So
around and grants it?
under Prop 63, we're going into little technicalities here, but as organizations like San Diego Gun Owners or different shooting organizations, they are not exempt from the laws that require, in 2019 background checks and vendor licenses for sales of ammunition. So you're not exempt under those laws, and if you are giving away or selling ammunition, they do have to go through background checks eventually, and you will have to go through a licensed ammunition vendor or get your own vendor license in order to do that.
Through the range. This is through the range, though. This is a range.
This is the range.
Yeah, it's Lemon
So
Grove
as a
Rod and Gun.
range, you'll need to get a vendor license for ammunition.
Okay, thank you.
All right, go ahead.
My question is about 80%ers also. You've talked about the pistols, you've talked about the featureless. How about the ones that got all the good features on it that look really cool, but it's got a fixed mag or the AR mag lock? Is there a registration coming up for that?
So using those compliance products that we've brought up, under the statute and the stated language in the law, if you were to make a firearm in that sense, you're not creating an assault weapon. However, in assembling, or initially creating or assembling that firearm, you would have to be very careful in the process and the steps you take in assembling it, because you never want the evil features on the firearm before the fixed magazine is on there. So if you can ensure that from the get-go you have a fixed magazine firearm, you should be fine. We'll use caution with all these new products that, with AR maglocks and all that, they fit with the statute and what defines a detachable or fixed magazine. This is unproven in court, and there's going to be a test experiment likely of someone that gets in trouble with it, and they're going to have to defend themselves in court to truly get a real answer from the courts on whether or not something's considered fixed. The same issue came up with the original bullet button. They were told this is illegal, and Darren Prince took the chance and he said, well, it fits with the letter of law, I'm going to use it and sell it. And there was no issue. Nothing came of it in that sense, and it worked.
For all the 80% owners out there, one thing you just got to keep in mind is the 80% is a real gray area right now, because now that California is requiring you to serialize components, again, they haven't even gotten into what components are. Is that trigger? Is that your trigger group? Is that the receiver? Or there's a lot of things. On top of that, now you're running afoul of ATF law. Now you're running into manufacturing issues. So for the 80% of people, while it's a great concept, I would steer very, very, very clear of it until there's either some case law or a lot more direction from California.
And once the California DOJ starts issuing serial numbers, I anticipate the ATF is going to have a problem with that, because that is a field that they solely regulate. So there's going to be a conflict there that's going to end up in some legal battles, I'm sure. So it is good advice to just patiently wait.
And again, that final registration date would be,
December, for assault weapons?
no, non-assault. DOJ.
With regard to serial numbers, it's January 2018.
Thank you so much.
On our website, we have a whole timeline on when you have to comply with the different laws. So check out the website. We have a whole one-pager.
Okay, just one quick question, or if you don't mind.
You have literally 30 seconds.
Okay, what are the requirements for reloading? Do I have to be licensed for buying components?
Currently, there are no licensing requirements for reloading.
All right, with that,
Great.
let's thank the panel with a round of applause. And also, let's thank the wonderful hosts here at the Poway Center for Performing Arts. Thank you very much for your hospitality. And with that, we are adjourned.
Awesome.
Without someone doing something about it, it's not going to get any better.